Garth Brooks had an impact on your life, and he definitely gave you an opportunity to open for him. But John told me the funniest story of when he thought that Garth Brooks was hitting on you from stage. And it is so funny because, like, first of all, if you I think it's hysterical because when you hang out with John for like 5 minutes, to think of him getting like macho and pissed off is the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And when he told me the Garth Brooks story, I was like, that's hysterical, John. That's amazing because I would have never interpreted it that way.
Yeah. Nobody else. No, nobody did. Just John.
Just John. Let's just say Garth Brooks, there was a thing that he would do to the audience. And it was like an acknowledgement, let's say. Yeah. And on a particular, whatever it was, he did that acknowledgement. And I guess he was looking at you or pointing in your direction.
Yeah.
And John thought he was hitting on you and John was going to kick his ass.
Yeah, totally.
Basically.
I'm like, dude.
It's the funniest thing in the world because, right after hanging out with you, I got to see Garth for the first time. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, Martina, I was blown away. When you're talking about being present in a show, I can count on one hand the artists that I've seen in person, that are that present to the audience. And I saw him at the Grand Ole Opry, and it was just he was like wearing construction boots and a t-shirt. Yeah. And he was making fun of himself because he stained his shirt, and and Trisha told him you can't go on stage wearing that shit. So he just went out in jeans and a t-shirt. He went out in the opposite of Garth garb, know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I get it now. And it was one of those things where I love moments in my life, and I'm 43 years old, and we get to an age in our life where we think we kind of know everything, or we think it's hard to surprise us. Mm-hmm. And it was a moment where I didn't know. Yeah. And I walked into that room and I saw, just the guitar sitting on the stage. And when he started performing, I got it. Yeah. I totally got it in an instant.
Yeah, he's alive. You have to see him live. Not that you have to see him live to get it, but that's really the thing. It's like that's his thing. It's like he just has that charisma and that thing that you see it live and you go, "Oh, I get why all of these people are going crazy." Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's some artists in any genre where I'm like, you really have to drink to go to this show. And no, he is not that show. I would tell you, don't drink and go to the Garth show and like take it in, because I was sorry to like, I'm thinking about it now because I forgot about it. I almost hit Megan in the face. And I remember, your husband telling me stories about Garth. When you started working with him, what was that moment of generosity where, or that moment where you're like, holy shit, I'm opening up for Garth Brooks? Like, what led to that? Did he hear you sing? Did you give him a demo? How did that work out?
It's a long story. I still don't know that we all have this. We've all settled on the same story, because apparently John had told Garth that I was trying to get a record deal, that I was a singer. And I'm sure he was like, that's the last thing I want to hear. I mean, isn't everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then he heard your voice.
But and I should mention at the time, John was his production manager on the road, so he was touring with him.
Oh, he wasn't just a random fan.
No, he wasn't just a rando. And I was waiting tables and singing demos in Nashville, and we'd just been married like a year and a half. So I was like, I don't know anybody here. You're gone for weeks at a time. Can I get a job on the road with you? Like, so we can travel together. And he's like, I don't know. I'll ask about selling t-shirts. So I went and sold t-shirts for Garth for about 7 months.
Oh my gosh.
And we rode on different buses, John and I. I rode on the merch bus and he rode on the crew bus. It was fun. It was really fun. And to get to see Garth's show, I mean, I didn't get to see it every night because I was working, but just to be around that energy, because that was the height of it. That was when it really was peaking, Friends in Low Places and all that. So it was good. Now then he asked me, I did get a record deal, and he asked me to open his next tour. So I went from being t-shirt girl to opening act. And I think back, it was such a generous thing to do because he'd never seen me perform. He'd barely heard me sing. He heard me sing something a cappella once, and so like he had no idea that I could what I would be like on stage. I could have been terrible. And So that was a generous act in and of itself. And then when I got on stage to sold out arenas, like it was before the stadium tour, but he was selling out, 16, 17,000 seats a night. And here's a girl who is in her little like cowboy boots and her little short skirt, and she's got no songs on the radio, one barely, maybe. And she's singing songs like 25 minutes and nobody's ever heard of her. And the crowds were so generous. They were like so warm and welcoming to me that it was, I didn't expect that, because it's an opening act, you're kind of, but he said something to me too. He said, "You're not my opening act. You go out there and try to steal the show," which was another great piece of advice that he generously gave me,
Well,
So
yeah.
He wasn't accusing you of stealing a show. He was telling you need to,
you
right?
need to
I
do
just want to
it.
clarify.
No, it's like you need to do it, because it's like was, and really for somebody to have that kind of confidence, like, I mean, obviously I was not going to steal the show from Garth Brooks, but to give me the permission to not feel like I had to be, less than, was really cool. And something that I obviously took forward with me with anybody that opened from, shows for me.
Yeah. Where were you the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
First time I heard myself on the radio, John and I, we rented this little duplex in Donaldson, Tennessee, which is right by the airport. And somebody had told me my first single had just come out, "The Time Has Come." And somebody said, "There's a show from Kentucky," I think it broadcast from Kentucky, called Newest from Nashville. And we heard your song on there last night, so you should listen. So we didn't even have a stereo. We had a boom box.
Yeah.
And so we set the boom box on the kitchen table and listened. And about 25 minutes into the show, they said, "Here's a new song from a new artist on RCA Records called Martina McBride." And they played "The Time Has Come." And so that was the first time we heard it. And, there's nothing like it. Like, I still get jazzed if I hear myself on the radio. I'm kind of like in my car wanting to go to people like, "That's me, that's me." It's so exciting.